Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about shortest path algorithms. Well, the term shortest path, it is self-explanatory. That means we are actually interested in finding the shortest path available between any 2 points. And when we talk about the weighted graphs, then we are actually trying to determine a path between the vertices I and j with minimum weight value. As we have seen that graphs can easily be used to simulate any scenario. Thus, when we talk about the weight which is associated with an edge of a graph, then it may not only represent the distance value. Instead, it may be used to represent a time, cost, penalty, or anything like that. And when we talk about shortest path algorithm, then we not only mean to minimize the distance values, but we may think of minimizing any of these quantities. Therefore, the application area of these algorithms includes finding a shortest path between the cities, and this path it may be via any transportation means. Similarly, if we talk about networks, then these algorithms they may be utilized by the protocols in order to route the data packet accordingly. Talking about the process transfer from one system to another, then also one can make use of shortest path algorithm because there are several penalties which are associated in this transfer, and the objective is to minimize all those penalties. So this is a list of only a few applications. One may think of any application like this. And today we are going to study about such algorithms. Also, we have already studied a graph search algorithm termed as breadth first search, that is BFS. It is also a single source shortest path algorithm which is available to find a distance from a single source vertex to all the other reachable vertices in an unweighted graph. Unweighted, that means each edge represents unit weight. And today we are going to talk about two more algorithms in this category. First one is the Dijitra's algorithm and another will be the Floyd-Warshall. So starting with the problem definition, we are provided with a weighted directed graph G with a set of vertices V and set of edges E. Each edge has an associated weight value given by the function W. When we talk about a path from a vertex V0 to Vk, then the weight associated with the path is given by Wp, and this Wp is nothing but we are summing up the edge weight values which are forming the path P from the vertex V0 to vertex Vk. When we talk about the shortest path from vertex U to vertex V, then del UV will give us the weight value which is minimum of the weight values of all the available paths from vertex U to vertex V. And if a path is not existing in between U and V, then we have to use infinity. So a shortest path from vertex U to vertex V is defined as path P whose weight value is equal to this del UV. So we have to solve this problem, and in order to solve this problem there are several algorithms available and we can use those algorithms in order to determine the shortest path in an efficient manner. So when we talk about single source shortest path problem, that means we are provided with a source vertex and then we have to find the shortest path from the given source vertex to each other vertex which is present in the graph. So in this, a popular algorithm available is the Dijitra's algorithm. Then there are several variants which are also available. First one is single destination shortest path problem. Single destination shortest path, that means instead of fixing the source vertex, we have fixed the destination vertex. In order to solve this problem, we have to simply reverse the direction of the edges and then execute the single source shortest path algorithm in order to solve it. Similarly, another variant is single pair shortest path problem. That means instead of finding the path from single source to all the vertices, we have fixed the pair of vertices we are working with. So again, we can solve this problem with the help of single source shortest path algorithm. Then the last variant is all pairs shortest path problem. That means we are interested in finding the shortest path between every pair of vertices which is available in the graph. And in this category, the popular algorithm available is Floyd-Warshall algorithm. And in this course, we are going to talk about both these algorithms. Single source shortest path algorithm, Dijitra's, and all pair shortest path algorithm, Floyd-Warshall. So we will start with Dijitra's now. The algorithm aims to solve single source shortest path given a weighted directed graph and all the weight values of the edges, they are non-negative. That means weight values should be greater than or equal to 0. Dijitra's algorithm, it works similar to the algorithm of Prim's, which we have used to find the minimum spanning tree. So in Prim's algorithm, at any moment of time, we were maintaining priority queue, and the priority of a vertex is decided based on the minimum weight value of an edge via which the isolated vertex becomes a part of the minimum spanning tree. So here, instead of picking the vertex based on the direct edge value via which it becomes a part of the minimum spanning tree, the decision is based on the distance of a vertex from the source to the isolated vertex. So the vertex which is present at the nearest from the source will be picked in each iteration. We will start with an example and then we will look at the algorithm. But before that, just have a look at this function. Corresponding to each vertex, we have to maintain two parameters as we were doing in the Prim's algorithm. So first one is the pi, which is nothing but the predecessor of a vertex v, and another one is the d, which will give the distance of the vertex v from the source vertex. And in each iteration, we have to update the distance of the vertex v from the source vertex by comparing these two values, where v dot d, it is the current distance of the vertex v from the source vertex, and we are comparing it with the distance of the source vertex to the vertex u, and then we are reaching vertex v via vertex u. So we have to add this weight value. So if this summation, it comes out to be less than the current distance value of the vertex v from the source, then we have to update the distance to the summation. Along with that, we have to update the predecessor also. This is the graph on which we will try to execute the Dijitra's algorithm. So we are provided with a source vertex S, and rest all the other vertices T, X, Y and Z, they are other vertices present in the graph, and the current distance value of these vertices from the source, it is given within the circles which are associated with each vertex. So right now all the vertices, they are unexplored, and hence their distance values from the given source vertex is set to infinite. Now in each iteration, we will try to fix the path of one of the isolated vertices. Since S is the source vertex, distance of source from itself, it should be equals to 0. So we will pick this vertex. Now from S, we can reach to vertex T via distance of 10. So this infinity, it is greater than 10. So distance of T, it will be updated to 10. Similarly, from S, we can reach to Y at a distance of 5. So this infinity, it will be replaced with 5. Rest other two vertices, they are not adjacent to S. So their distance values from the source vertex, they still remain infinity. So these are the required updates. After that, we have to pick the vertex which is the nearest to the source vertex. So from S, we can reach Y, distance 5, and from S, we can reach T, distance 10. So we have to pick Y now. After picking Y, we have to look at all the vertices which are adjacent to Y. So the remaining three vertices T, X and Z, they all are adjacent to Y. So we have to update the distance values of the three vertices with respect to the source via vertex y now. So if I follow the path y to t, then I can reach vertex t from source S at a distance of 5 plus 3, that is 8, and 8 is less than 10. So this 10, it has to be updated to 8. Now we are reaching vertex T via vertex Y. So this edge, it has to be picked, and we have to leave the direct edge from S to T. And in order to mark this change, we have to actually update the pi attribute corresponding to vertex T. So we are updating the distance, plus we are updating the predecessor also, the same as we are doing in the Prim's algorithm. Similarly, we can reach vertex X via weight of 5 plus 9. So this infinity, it will be replaced with 14. Similarly, Z, right now it is not reachable. It will be updated to 5 plus 2. So you can see we are reaching vertex T via vertex Y, and X and Z, they are reachable at distance values of 14 and 7 via vertex Y. So again, we have to pick T, X or Z, whichever is the nearest to the source. So Z vertex, it is present the nearest to the source and the distance is 7. So next vertex to be picked is Z. When we pick Z, then from Z we can reach to S. But S, it is already explored. So we have to do nothing. On the other hand, we can reach vertex X via Z at a cost of 6. So 7 plus 6 will give us 13, and 13, it is less than 14. So now when we pick Z, we have to drop this edge which we were using initially to reach vertex X, but now we have to pick this edge which we are using in order to reach vertex X. That means we are initially reaching X via Y, which has to be updated to Z, because now we are reaching X via Z, and there is no connectivity to the vertex T from vertex Z, so no change will be there. These are the required updates. Now again we have to pick either T at a distance of 8 or X at a distance of 13. So again the minimum one, T will be picked, and now from T we can reach Y, but it is already fixed. That means its distance from the source, the minimum one, is fixed. Now from T we can reach to X, and the distance via T, it comes out to be 8 plus 1, that is 9. So the current distance value of 13, it will be updated to 9, and now instead of reaching X via Z, we are reaching X via T. So these are the required updates. We have dropped this edge and we have picked this edge. So this will happen by updating the pi attribute corresponding to vertex X. And finally, there is a single choice with us, that is X. So at the end, we will pick this X now. So the shortest distance of source S to Y is 5. For S to T, shortest distance, it comes out to be 8 via vertex Y. Then to reach X, the distance to be traveled is 9, and the path is S, Y, T, X. Similarly, the last vertex Z, it is reachable from source vertex S at a distance of 7, and the path to be followed is S, Y and Z. So this is the basic execution of the Dijitra's algorithm. Next, we have to look at the proper procedure to implement Dijitra's. So you can observe the algorithm for Dijitra's. It is same as we have seen in the case of Prim's algorithm. So at line number 1, we are calling a procedure initialize single source, and if we look at the definition of this function, then it is simply initializing the values of D and pi attribute for each and every vertex. Initially, all the vertices, they are unexplored, so distance from the source, it should be initialized to infinity. Similarly, the pi attribute, that is the predecessor, it should be equals to nil, and then the source vertex, distance of the source vertex from itself, it should be equals to 0. So we are simply initializing these two parameters of all the vertices by means of this function. And then at line number 2, we have taken an empty set This empty set, it is used to contain the vertices when they are deleted from the priority queue. As you can see at line number 6, S, it will be updated with the vertex which is just deleted from the priority queue. Then we have to create the min priority queue from all the vertices which are present in the graph, and here the priority is decided based on the distance of all the vertices from the source vertex, which is S in this case. And then at line number 4, we have to iterate till the priority queue is having elements, and in each iteration we have to delete the vertex which is the nearest to the source by means of extract min operation. Add that vertex to the set S, and then we have to scan all the vertices which are adjacent to the just deleted vertex, and then we have to call a procedure relax for all the adjacent vertices. And if we look at the relax procedure, then it is the same which we have just seen in the example. Here we are simply checking the current distance value of the vertex and the one which is obtained with the help of the summation. If the value is greater than the summation value, we have to update the distance and we have to update the predecessor also. So the procedure is similar as we have seen in case of prims. Therefore, if we talk about the complexity, it comes out to be E log V if we make use of binary heap in order to implement the priority queue. If you are using an array in order to implement the priority queue, then complexity, it comes out to be V square. If you use any other implementation of the priority queue, then the complexity, it will vary again. And if we look at the execution of this algorithm, so let's say we are going to take the same example as we have just seen. So first step is we have to create a adjacency list representation of the given graph. This is the required representation. Now we don't need this graph. We just work with the algorithm and the representation which we have just created. Now first is the initialization step. So initialization, that means corresponding to each vertex, set pi and d to nil and infinity, and the distance of the source from itself, it should be equals to 0. And then we have to take a set S, it should be empty, and then we have to create a priority queue that should be min priority queue for all the vertices present in the graph. So here is the set S and this is the required priority queue. Since S, its distance is minimum, so it should be the root. Now when we start with the iteration, first extract min, it will extract S from the queue. The moment it gets extracted, it has to be added to the set capital S, and then we have to scan the list of adjacent vertices corresponding to vertex S. The current value of the vertex T from the source is equals to infinity. It should be updated to the value which we obtain via equation u dot d plus w u comma v. So u dot d in our case, it is nothing but the s dot d, because s we have just deleted from the heap. So s dot d, it is equals to 0, and the weight value from s to vertex t, which is equals to 10. So current value of distance for the vertex t, it is equals to infinity, which is greater than 0 plus 10, that is 10. Yes, so we have to update the distance corresponding to vertex t to 10. Also, we have to update the predecessor of t to s. So we have to update these two values, and the moment I update the d value corresponding to vertex t, at that time we have to execute the decrease key function of the min priority queue, and accordingly the root of the priority queue, it will get change. Similarly, if we look at vertex y current distance from the source, it is equals to infinity. So this v dot d, it is equals to infinity at this moment of time. U dot d, it is equals to s dot d, which is equals to 0, and weight from s to y, it is equals to 5. So infinity, it is greater than 0 plus 5. Yes. So the pi attribute, it has to be updated to the source, that is s, and this infinity, it should be replaced with 5. And the moment we do this change, the decrease key function will update the priority queue, and now the new root of the priority queue, it comes out to be y. And now there is no other vertex which is adjacent to S, so we are done with the execution of the while loop. The next iteration of the while loop, it will delete y. So y, it has been added to the set and it is deleted from the priority queue. If we look at the adjacency list of y, then the first vertex, it comes out to be t. So the current value of t, it is equals to 10. So v dot d it is equals to 10. U dot d. So u dot d, in this case, we are talking about the vertex y. So y dot d, which will give us 5 plus distance of y to t. So 5 plus 3, it will give us 8. So 10 and 8 relationship is satisfied. So we have to update the distance of t to 8, and accordingly pi attribute, it has to be set to y now. So you can see we have changed t, distance 8 and pi. Initially it was s, now it is updated to y. Next vertex in the linked list corresponding to y, we have x. X current value is infinity. So v dot d is infinity, which is greater than u dot d, that is y dot d 5 plus 9. This 9. So 5 plus 9 will give us 14. So x, it has to be updated to 14. Accordingly, the pi attribute of x, it will be updated to y. And then we have z. Again, it is right now equals to infinity. It has to be updated to 5 plus 2. So z will become 7 now. The moment it becomes 7, it will become the root of the priority queue. Also, pi attribute, it has to be updated to y. So with this, we are done with the loop iteration corresponding to vertex y. Next, z will be extracted from the queue and added to the set s. So now we have to look at the linked list corresponding to vertex z. Current distance of s, it comes out to be 0. And if we look at this equation, then it will give u dot d. That means z dot d is 7 and z to s is 7 again. So 7 plus 7, 14. But 0 is greater than 14? No. So no change will happen for the vertex s. Then we reach x. X current value, it is equals to 14. The new updated value can be z dot d will give us 7. So we have 7 plus 6. So it will be 13. So 14 is greater than 13, yes. So we have to update x dot d to 13, as you can observe here also. And now the pi attribute of x, it has to be updated to z. So with this, we have completed with the linked list corresponding to vertex z. Next, extract min, it will delete 8 from the queue and add t to the set s. And the first vertex in the linked list of t is x. So we have to check for this condition. So x dot d, it is equals to 13 right now. And then we have to use the distance of the just deleted vertex, that is t. It is equals to 8 and distance from t to x is equals to 1. So 8 plus 1 will give us 9. This equation is true. So distance of x, it will be updated to 9 and x dot pi, it will be updated to t. So these are the required changes. And then we have y. So y, we have already fixed its distance from the source. So this equation will give us false. So with this, we are done with the iteration, and then the last execution of the while loop will delete x from the queue and add it to s. And now all the vertices which are adjacent to x, they are already present in the set s. So no change will take place. So with this, we are done with the execution of Dijitra's algorithm. And if we compare the results which we have obtained previously, then S is the source. Then distance to vertex t, it is equals to 8 and it is via vertex y. So we have to go s, y and then t. Distance comes out to be 8. Similarly, if we talk about vertex x, then we are reaching x via t. So yes, we are reaching x via t and distance comes out to be 9. The path which we are following to reach x is s to y, y to t, t to x. Similarly, if we talk about a vertex y, we are reaching directly y at a distance of 5 from s, and for z we have to reach via y, distance is 7. So results, they are same. So this is all about the Dijitra's implementation. Next, we have to start with the Floyd-Warshall algorithm. So this algorithm, it is an all-pair shortest path algorithm which works on directed graphs which may have negative weight edges. But there should not be any negative weight cycle. That means negative weight values of an edge, it is allowed, but we should not have something like this, that is negative weight cycle. Negative weight cycle, that means a cycle is there, and when we sum up the weight values of the edges which are forming that cycle, it sums up to a negative value. So this kind of cycle should not be there. And then this algorithm, it works on the concept of dynamic programming. That means initially we will explore the paths which are created only via direct edges in between the two vertices. And then with each iteration, we will try to explore paths which may be formed by considering other vertices which are present in the graph as intermediate vertices in our path. So to understand this in a better way, let's say we have a graph with n vertices. Out of those n vertices, a few are shown here. Let's say we are trying to compute a distance between the vertices I and j. So when we start at that time, we will try to form a path in between the vertex I and j by considering only the direct edges. That means if any direct edge it is present in between I and j, then that weight value wij will be used as the distance in between the vertices I and j at the 0th iteration. By means of this superscript, we are determining the iteration. So right now we are initializing. So this superscript, it is equals to 0. So after this initialization, what we will do in the iterations? In the next iteration, we will try to form a path which is moving from I to 1 and then 1 to j. And accordingly, we have to compute new distance value in between the vertices I and j with a superscript of 1. That is, we are working with the first iteration, and this value, it comes out to be minimum of the previous value. The previous value which we have obtained during the initialization, that means the direct edge in between the vertex I and j, and we are comparing it with a distance value from I to 1 and then 1 to j. Whichever is minimum, we have to keep that value. And then next iteration, we will try to form a path in between the vertex I and j passing via vertices 1 and 2. Then in the next iteration, we will form a path which is passing via 3 vertices and so on. So at the kth iteration, we will try to form a path in between the vertices I and j such that the path may have any vertex from 1 to k as the intermediate vertex. So overall, what we can say, we are actually exploring each and every possible path in between the vertices I and j throughout the iterations, and then we are also storing the shortest path value by means of these min equations. So we started with direct edges, and then at the end, when we are done with the n number of iterations, that means we have explored all the possible path values in between the vertices I and j. And the final minimum shortest path values between the vertices I and j, it is stored in the variable dij, which is obtained after the n number of iterations. So overall, what is actually happening in this process? We are trying to compute a path between the two vertices, which is actually the shortest one. So if we talk about the vertex I and j, so first we will try to obtain a path from I to k which is shortest, and then we also know during the iterations that we have a path from vertex k to vertex j which is shortest. And then in the intermediate iterations, we will try to compare these two shortest path values with the path value which is already obtained in between I and j. So whatever is minimum, we are going to keep that one. And to implement this, we have to make use of this recursive relationship. Here we are trying to compute the distance between I and j during the kth iteration. So this value, it will be equal to the minimum of the distance value which we have obtained in the previous iteration, or the value which can be obtained from the summation of the path values from I to k during the previous iteration and then from k to j in the previous iteration. Whatever is the minimum, we have to keep that. If we list out the equation completely, then when k equals to 0, that means we are actually at the initialization step. At that time, the value of dij, it is nothing but the weight value which is given in the graph via the direct edge weight values. And then with each iteration, we have to compute this minimum and store them. And since it is a shortest path algorithm, so in addition to the value of the shortest path, we have to keep track of a path also from one vertex to another. For that, we have to maintain a predecessor, that is the pi attribute, and this pi attribute, it has to be maintained during each iteration. So we are going to make use of the superscript value in order to maintain the iteration information. So first we have to initialize the predecessor values. So we all know if a path is not existing or an edge is not existing between the two vertices, then its weight value is equals to infinity. Also, if we are talking about the same vertex, that means we are talking about the self loops, then in both the cases we have to initialize this pi to nil. On the other hand, if an edge is existing between the vertex I and j, that means a direct edge is existing between the vertices I and j, and I is not equals to j, then depending upon the direction, we have to put this I value, because we are talking about an edge which is starting at vertex I and which is ending at vertex j. So we are reaching vertex j via vertex I. So we have to put I over here. That means the starting vertex should be there during the initialization of the pi attribute. And then with each iteration, we have to pick either the direct dij value or the summation value. Accordingly, we have to update the pi attribute. So if you can observe, we are just comparing the two values for which we are computing the minimum. So out of these two values, if we are picking the previous value as the shortest path value, then the pi attribute, it will remain unchanged. That means the new pi ij value, it will be the same pi ij during the previous iteration, that is k minus 1. On the other hand, if summation is lesser than the previous shortest path value, then now we are reaching vertex j via path from k to j in the previous iteration. So accordingly, the new pi value, it has to be updated to pi kj in the previous iteration. So either we will use the same pi ij value or we have to update it to the new path via which we are reaching the vertex j now. So these are the recursive definitions which we have to follow in order to implement the Floyd-Warshall algorithm. And as far as the implementation of this algorithm is concerned, then whatever process we are following on pen and paper, we have to write the algorithm in that flow only. So we will first discuss the example, and then whatever steps we follow, we will write them in the form of an algorithm. So for this graph, we are going to execute Floyd-Warshall. So initially, we have to take two matrices, one for distance and another for the predecessor, and we have to initialize these matrices with the help of these equations. So all the diagonal entries, they will be 0 because there are no self loops, and then there are 9 edges in all in the given graph. So if we talk about vertex 1, we have 3 edges going to vertices 2, 3 and 5. So corresponding entries we have to put in the distance matrix, and then the predecessor, it comes out to be the vertex 1 because we have started from vertex 1. Similarly, vertex 2, it has 2 edges going to vertices 4 and 5. So accordingly, we have the weight values in the distance matrix, and predecessor, it comes out to be vertex 2 only. For vertex 3, there is a single edge to vertex 2 of weight 4. For vertex 4, there are 2 edges to vertex 1 and vertex 3. And for vertex 5, there is a single edge to vertex 4. So accordingly, all the weight values, they are used to initialize the distance matrix, and the starting vertices, they are used to initialize the predecessor. Rest all the other entries, they are infinity in case of distance matrix, and they will be set to nil in case of predecessor matrix. So with this, we are done with the initialization, and now we have to start with the iterations. So in the first iteration, that is D1 and pi1, we will try to compute a path between two vertices via vertex V1 only. So since we are working with vertex V1, the entries corresponding to vertex V1, it will remain as it is. Now we will start with vertex V2. So we have to compute a path between a vertex V2 and rest all the other vertices which is passing via V1. But if we look at the previous distance matrix, then V2 to V1, this path, it is not existing since its value is infinity. So a path is not existing between V2 and V1. Therefore, all the entries corresponding to vertex V2 will remain as it is. Same goes with the vertex V3. There is no path in between V3 and V1. So we cannot move ahead. Next, we have to compute a path from V4 to V1. So first we will go V4 to V1 and then V1 to V1. So basically we are trying to add up the values 2 and 0. And the previous value, it is already equals to 2. And summation, it is also going to give us the 2 value only. So there will not be any change in this entry. Then we have to compute V4 to V2. So first we will go V4 to V1 and then V1 to V2. So basically we are talking about V4 to V1 this entry and then V1 to V2 this entry. So if we go via V1, then the distance between V4 and V2, it comes out to be 3 plus 2, that is 5. And current entry, it is equals to infinity. So we have to update the distance value to 5 as 5 is less than infinity. Similarly, we are reaching vertex 2 via vertex V1 now. So whatever entry we have obtained as a predecessor from V1 to V2 in the previous iteration, we have to use that value. So here we have to put 1. Next, V4 to V3. So path will be 4 to 1 and then 1 to 3. So 4 to 1 and 1 to 3. This summation, this will give us 8 plus 2, 10, and 10 is greater than minus 5. So there will not be any change. And then V4 to V4, again it comes out to be 0 because 2 plus infinity will give us infinity which is greater than 0. So again no change. And then we have V4 to V5. So first we will go 4 to 1 and then 1 to 5. So we are actually trying to compute a summation of 2 and minus 4 which comes out to be minus 2. So minus 2, it is less than infinity, and now we are reaching vertex V5 via vertex V1. So predecessor, it again comes out to be 1. So we have put minus 2 in the distance and predecessor we have put vertex 1. Now if we talk about vertex V5, then there is no path in between V5 and vertex V1. So the entry corresponding to last row in the distance and the predecessor matrices, they will remain same. So with this we are done with the first iteration of the Floyd-Warshall. Now in the next iteration, we will try to compute a path between the vertices which are passing via vertex 1 and vertex V2. So again starting with vertex V1, so we have to go 1 to 2 and then 2 to 1. So this entry, it will give us infinity and current value it is equals to 0. So there will not be any change. Then V1 to V2, that means we have to go V1 to V2 and then V2 to V2. So 3 plus 0 and current entry it is equals to 3. So there will not be any change again. Then V1 to V3. That means first we have to go V1 to V2 and then V2 to V3. So this entry it comes out to be infinity. 3 plus infinity is infinity and current value is 8. So there will not be any change. And then we have V1 to V4. So we have to go 1 to 2, 2 to 4. So we are actually talking about these two entries, 1 to 2 and then 2 to 4. This summation, it comes out to be 4 which is less than infinity. So we have to update. And now we are reaching vertex V4 via vertex V2. So the corresponding predecessor, it comes out to be 2. So we will put 4 as a distance and 2 as a predecessor. Next we have V1 to V5. So the path we have to follow is V1 to V2 and then V2 to V5. this entry it comes out to be 7 plus 3, 10, which is greater than minus 4. So there will not be any change. Next, we are talking about vertex V2. So the row corresponding to vertex V2, it will remain as it is. Next, we have to compute the distance value from vertex V3 to other vertices via vertex V2. So starting with V3 and V1. So V3 to V1, we have to follow a path 3 to 2 and then 2 to 1. So this entry, it comes out to be infinity. So no change. And then V3 to V2. So again, this entry, it comes out to be 4 plus 0, which is equals to the current entry. So no change again. Then V3 to V3, this entry, it will remain unchanged because 4 plus infinity, it will give us infinity. Then V3 to V4, that means we have to go 3 to 2 and then 2 to 4. So 3 to 2 and then 2 to 4. So this entry, it comes out to be 5, which is less than the current value, which is infinity. And now we are reaching vertex V4 via vertex V2. So the corresponding predecessor, it comes out to be 2. So these are the required updates. Now talking about V3 and V5. So we have to follow a path 3 to 2 and then 2 to 5. So this entry again, it comes out to be 7 plus 4, which is less than the current value, which is infinity, and we are reaching here via vertex 2 now. So we will put 11 in the distance and 2 in the predecessor. Now talking about vertex V4, so we have to go to vertex 2 first and then we have to visit other vertices. So V4 to V1, that means we have to follow a path 4 to 2 and then 2 to 1. This entry 5 plus infinity, it comes out to be infinity, so no change. Then V4 to V2, again there is no path from V2 to V2, so the entry, it remains unchanged. Then V4 to V3, so we have to follow a path 4 to 2 and then 2 to 3. So 4 to 2 and then 2 to 3, it comes out to be infinity, so no change will be there. Then 4 to 4, this entry again, it comes out to be 5 plus 1 because 4 to 2 and 2 to 4. And current entry, it is equals to 0, so no change will be there. Then we have V4 to V5. So we have to go 4 to 2, 2 to 5. That means 5 plus 7, and this entry, it is greater than minus 2 because 5 plus 7, it will give us 12. So there will not be any change. So with this, we are done with the vertex V4. Now if we talk about vertex V5, so we have to go to vertex V2 first, but there is no path in between the vertex V5 and V2. So last row, it will remain unchanged. So this completes the second iteration. Now coming to the third iteration, that means now we will try to compute a path between two vertices passing through vertices V1, V2 and V3. So based on the previous iterations, we can say the diagonal entries, they will remain as it is. The row corresponding to vertex V3, it will also remain unchanged. And if we talk about vertex V2, then there is no path in between V2 and V3. It is infinity. So this row V2, it will remain unchanged. Similarly, there is no path in between V5 and V3. So again, last row, it will remain unchanged. So these are the entries which are not going to change. Now we will look at the rest of the 8 entries. So V1 to V2. So we have to follow a path 1 to 3 and then 3 to 2. So 1 to 3, 3 to 2. This will give us 8 plus 4, 12, which is greater than 3. So there will not be any change. Next, when we talk about V1, V3, so again this entry, it comes out to be 8 only. No change is there. Then we have V1, V4. So we have to follow a path 1 to 3, 3 to 4. So 8 plus 5, that means 13, which is greater than 4. So no change will be there. Then we are talking about V1, V5. So 1 to 3, 3 to 5. So 8 plus 11, 19, which is greater than minus 4. So no change will be there. So with this, we are done with the vertex V1. Now talking about vertex V4. So V4 to V1. And the path to be followed is 4 to 3 and then 3 to 1. So 4 to 3 minus 5 and then 3 to 1 is infinity. So distance between V4 and V1, it will remain as it is. Next, we have V4 to V2. So we have to go 4 to 3, 3 to 2. So 4 to 3, 3 to 2. It comes out to be 4 minus 5, that is minus 1, which is less than the current entry, which is 5. Now we have to update distance to minus 1 and the predecessor, it comes out to be 3 now because we are reaching vertex V2 via V3 now. So we have minus 1 and 3. Next we have V4 to V3. Again this entry it remains unchanged. It will remain minus 5 only. And lastly we have V4, V5. So 4 to 3 and then 3 to 5. So 4 to 3 is minus 5 and 3 to 5 is 11. This entry it comes out to be 6. Right now the entry is minus 2. So there will not be any change. This completes the third iteration. Now fourth iteration, that means we are trying to compute a path between the vertices which are passing via vertex V1, V2, V3 and V4. So again the entries corresponding to vertex V4, it will remain as it is. The diagonal entries, they will remain 0. And then we have a path to vertex V4 from all the other vertices. So we will look at other vertices now. So diagonal entries, they are 0. The row corresponding to V4, it is same. And also the vertical entries corresponding to V4, it will also remain same. Now V1, V2, we have to follow a path 1 to 4, 4 to 2. So 1 to 4, 4 to 2, it will give us 3 again. So there will not be any change. Then 1 to 3. So we have to follow a path 1 to 4 and then 4 to 3. So this entry 1 to 4 is 4 and 4 to 3 is minus 5. So 4 minus 5 will give us minus 1, which is less than the current entry, that is 8. So we have to update the distance to minus 1 and now we are reaching vertex V3 via V4. So corresponding predecessor, it has to be updated to 4. So we have put minus 1 here and 4 in the predecessor matrix. And then if we talk about V1, V5, then 1 to 4 and then 4 to 5. Again, it comes out to be 4 minus 2, which is 2 and greater than minus 4. So no change is there. Now talking about vertex V2. So V2 to V1, the path to be followed is 2 to 4 and then 4 to 1. So current entry, it is equals to infinity, but if we go via V4, then the distance comes out to be 2 plus 1, 3. So distance, it has to be updated to 3 now, and now we are reaching via V4. So the predecessor, it comes out to be 4 only. So here we have placed 3 and predecessor is the vertex 4. Now V2 to V3 and the path we have to follow is 2 to 4 and 4 to 3. Again, the current value, it is equals to infinity and summation will give us minus 4. So we will update the distance to minus 4 and predecessor, it comes out to be 4 again. Now talking about the path V2 to V5, the new path may be 2 to 4 and then 4 to 5. So 2 to 4 and 4 to 5, this summation will lead us minus 1, which is less than 7. So it has to be updated and the corresponding predecessor entry for 4 to 5 will give us 1. So we will put 1 as a predecessor. Next we have to compute the distance between V3 and other vertices via vertex V4. V3 to V1, it is currently equals to infinity and the path to be followed is 3 to 4 and 4 to 1. So we will get 7. So instead of infinity, we will have 7 now and the predecessor is 4. Next we have 3 to 2 and path to be followed is 3 to 4, 4 to 2. So 3 to 4 and 4 to 2, this will give us 4 again and the current entry is 4. So no change will be there. Now talking about V3 to V5, its current value, it is equals to 11 and the path we have to follow is 3 to 4 and then 4 to 5. And this summation, it will give us 5 minus 2. So 5 minus 2 is 3, which is less than 11. So update 11 to 3 and predecessor, now it comes out to be the vertex 1. Lastly, if we talk about vertex V5, then the 3 entries, they are infinity. Now if we try to reach vertex V1, V2 and V3 via vertex V4, then we may get some value. So V5 to V1, we have to follow a path 5 to 4, 4 to 1. So 6 plus 2, 8 and predecessor, it comes out to be 4. Next we have V5 to V2. Path to be followed is 5 to 4, 4 to 2. It will give us 5 and predecessor, in this case it comes out to be vertex 3. And then lastly, V5 to V3, path to be followed is 5 to 4, 4 to 3. So 6 minus 5 will give us 1 and predecessor it comes out to be 4. So with this we have completed the fourth iteration and now we have to work with the last iteration. So in the last iteration, all the entries, they will remain as it is, but the 3 entries highlighted in yellow, they will get updated. So fifth iteration, that means we are trying to compute a path between the two vertices which is passing via all the vertices which are present in the graph, because there are only 5 vertices in the graph. So if we look at the distance values of V1 to V2, it is equals to 3. But if we go from V1 to V2 via vertex V5, then path to be followed is V1 to V5, that is minus 4, and then V5 to V2, that is 5. So 5 minus 4 will give us 1. So we have put 1 here. Now if we talk about vertex V3, so V1 to V5 minus 4 and then V5 to V3 is 1. So minus 4 plus 1 will give us minus 3. And minus 3 it is less than minus 1. So we have to update. Similarly, if we talk about vertex V4, then V1 to V5 and then V5 to V4. So we have to add 6 minus 4 which will give us 2. So instead of this 4 we will have 2 now. And since we are reaching vertex V2, V3 and V4 via vertex V5, so predecessor values we have to follow is 3, 4 and 5. So the corresponding predecessor values for vertex V2, V3 and V4 from vertex V1, it comes out to be 3, 4 and 5. So with this we have completed the execution of the Floyd-Warshall algorithm, and now we are going to discuss the algorithm. So these are the equations which we have already seen, and this is the required algorithm. At the start, we have to do the initialization. So W, it is an n cross n weight matrix. N is nothing but the total number of rows, which is nothing but the total number of vertices present in the graph. And then during initialization, the distance matrix, it will be equal to the weight matrix only. And now we have to compute the predecessor matrix, that is pi, using the equation which we have already discussed. So we have initialized all the entries to null and we have to compute the entries of the predecessor matrix only if I is not equals to j and a weight value is existing. So we are checking this condition via means of this if statement, and if this condition is satisfied, we have to update the predecessor value. And we have to check this condition for each and every value of the pi. So we have two nested for loops which are running from 1 to total number of vertices, that is n, present in the graph. So with this we are done with the initialization. Now we have to start with the iterations which we have just executed. So the outermost for loop, which is governed by a loop variable k, it is used to denote the vertices which are present in the graph. And then we have to take two new matrices, one for distance and one for predecessor in each iteration, and the size of these matrices, it will be total number of vertices cross total number of vertices, that is n cross n. And then for each of the entries which is present in the matrix, we have to check if we are picking the previous distance value or the new updated distance value. So for that we are putting the if condition, and this if condition, it has to be executed for each and every entry in the matrix. So accordingly we have two nested for loops again. If we are picking the previous entry, then we have to simply use the distance values as well as the predecessor values which we have computed in the previous iteration. On the other hand, if we are picking the distance value which is the updated one, then we have to put that updated distance value in the new distance matrix, and accordingly we have to update the predecessor also. So the algorithm is very simple, and as far as the complexity is concerned, then the dominant portion in this code is the presence of these three nested for loops, and each of these for loops, they are running from 1 to n, that is from 1 to total number of vertices. So the complexity of this algorithm, it comes out to be n cube, which is nothing but total number of vertices present in the graph to the power of 3. So this is all about the shortest path algorithms. Thank you.